Oh, we're going live now. Good evening, UK Crime Book Club. Sorry we're slightly late tonight. Had the incredible disappearing author, but fingers crossed and touch wood, we're good now. So, Alex, would you like to introduce yourself properly?
Okay, hello, I'm Alex Shaw. I write the Aidan Snow thrillers and the new Jack Tate thrillers, and the first one of those came out on the 26th of September, and the paperback came out yesterday.
Congratulations.
You can see it's called Total Blackout. There we go.
Have you got any other book covers you want to show off?
Well, I have actually. How long have you got?
Go for it.
Well, so I get the kind of Christmas shopping, Black Friday bananas out, of the week.
Absolutely.
The paperback of Total Blackout, here it is, only released yesterday, is now an incredible £2 on Amazon. And on the
Wow.
because the Works placed a very large order and Amazon price matched. So suddenly, if you've got Amazon Prime, it's £2 and free shipping. And if you haven't got Amazon Prime, it's still £2 plus I think £2.99. Or you can get it at the that's Total Blackout. So yeah, £2 now,
Fantastic.
which is a pound less than the ebook. And the audiobook also came out yesterday as well. I think that's £12, and that's doing quite well in the charts. I think it's number 19 in one of the men's adventure categories or military fiction categories, which is very good. I think it's about
Brilliant.
2 overall. Then I have my Aidan Snow thrillers, which are the ones that I wrote before. These are also very good value as well. Not so much the paperbacks, but the ebooks. Cold Blood, 99 pence at the moment. That's Aidan Snow number 1. Cold Black, also 99 pence. I don't know why. That's Aidan Snow number 2. And there's a theme here. That's right. Aidan Snow number 3.
There is.
Cold East. Not 99p though. I think it's 199 instead, or 149. A bit more expensive. But they're all on special offer at the moment. Well, it is Christmas almost, isn't it?
Yes.
So there we go. So my books are all very reasonably priced at the moment. And they're quite good reads. I won't say the best in the world because I'd be pompous if I was, but I like them.
I like them. When's Total Fallout out?
That is out on the 19th of February in ebook and 29th of April in paperback and audiobook.
I'll ask you that again at the end as well for anyone who joins us late so we can catch them up. So, Total Blackout. Any book that is in Washington and Maine, mainly, is always going to be a winner for me. I think if, and obviously you visit other places during the book as well, it's not limited to those two. But if I was going to look for, say, something on Netflix, that would be the first thing I'd click on. So reading that I've loved it.
Oh, thanks.
It's been really good. So what inspired you to set the new books? Still a similar theme, I suppose. We're still looking at military and things like that. But for Jack Tate, what inspired Jack Tate off this? Yeah, what inspired him?
Well, when I first started, I was writing the Aidan Snow books, and they were all set primarily in Ukraine and England, and a few other countries too. And I realised that I hadn't really explored the whole other side of the world, and there are an awful lot of books set in America. And I'm quite a large Lee Child fan. Well, I'm 6'5", but no, I'm quite a large Lee Child fan. And so I've read all his books, and I really, really enjoyed the way he would kind of explore, Reacher would explore America. And he does it in a very exciting way because obviously Lee, or to give him his real name, Jim, he is he's English, he's from Birmingham. And so he's seen the US through the eyes of a foreigner, even though he's lived there for years. And even though Reacher's an American character, because Reacher's lived abroad as a soldier for years, Reacher also saw America through the eyes of somebody else. And I thought, okay, if I can set my own character in the US and have him be British, because I can be British, I am British, and I have him being something I know a bit about, he's got the SAS and military background and etc. Because I've written about that before. I can then have somebody who I know how to write him, but I can put him in places that are new, and I can see, and we can see it through his eyes, and that way we can see it almost as a tourist. So people that live there will say, "Oh yes, that's such and such," and people like myself who don't live there and like you as a reader will be interested because it's like armchair travel.
Yeah.
So I suppose the short answer is I wanted to set something in America because it's a vast, vast country. And I think armchair travel is really, really the way to go at the moment. You know, I don't like things to be kind of set in a very small place that I know very well. And so that's why I thought, okay, huge canvas. Let's pick up two completely contrasting places in the US. The small
Yeah,
town.
absolutely. That's what I loved about it.
Yeah, and then have it like that. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I mean, it was fun to write as well. You know. And it was, you know, sometimes you get a coincidence when you're writing, you know, like finding Camden, Maine and Camden, UK. And that's something I wanted to kind of focus on. I do that in Total Fallout as well. I think I mentioned other place names that are twins too, but I won't mention that just yet.
Yeah, don't give too much away. We've got all kinds of questions coming in already on the side, so I'll ask a couple of these and then I'll go back to mine.
Okay.
Okay,
I'm
Kaz
not
has sorry, go on.
science questions. That's not my specialist subject. I can't do science. No.
I promise nothing. Kaz Caroline Maston has said hello. She says she's asked one of the questions I was going to ask. You're quite a globetrotter. What took you to Qatar? So you've got houses. You know, you go all over the place, don't you?
Yeah. Well, we went to Qatar basically because my wife was headhunted. She was offered an exciting job over there, and so you know me doing what I do, I can basically work anywhere. So it's okay. Over there, let's have a bit of fun, and so we did. So we were in we were in Worthing at the time, and you know we decided okay, let's go. So we did, and yeah, it was an interesting and exciting 3 years. You know, very different from the UK. I think one of the very first things my sons noticed was that we didn't have carpets. We had marble floors, you know, and so yeah, that's one of the things I told their teachers. Oh, there's no carpets here because obviously they speak like. And yeah, it was an exciting place to go, completely different, and I write about it in Total Fallout a bit. So yeah, I always try and use where I've been to inspire me.
Is there anywhere that you haven't been that you think you'd like to live while you wrote a novel set there?
Yeah, I mean there are a few places. And this is going to sound a bit peculiar, but I wouldn't mind living in Alaska. I wouldn't mind trying Alaska for a while, you know.
No, that's not weird at all. Me and my husband have talked about this, so don't worry, kids, if you're watching, which you won't be. We're not going to do
it. Because I used to really love Ice Road Truckers, and Alex Devagorsky was a great character. And I was checking Twitter the other day, and he follows me on Twitter, and I almost fell off my chair because that was like quite funny. And then yeah, so I used to really enjoy that program. And I thought there was something to be gained about the loneliness there. You know, how if you have a character that's trying to escape or trying to kind of lay low, could you do it somewhere as bleak as that? But then again, everybody knows each other. But because it's such a vast landscape and it's very, very, the population's very, very small. I suppose you could escape in the landscape, but then people would know you were there. Oh, you're looking for Jimmy's 40 miles down that road there. Because obviously there are Cornish pirates in Alaska.
Absolutely, there are. They're lousy with them. Lousy with Cornish pirates.
Or Finland. I'd like to go to Finland.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we've got such similar ideas on our lists. Why did you choose to write thrillers, Kaz wants to know?
Because it's what excites me. It's what I read. Years ago, I think it was my aunt. She said to me, "Why don't you write any romance?" And I said, "Well, I don't like romance." You know, inside my head, I was thinking, "Well, I have enough of it myself." But yeah, but no, I was thinking, I don't like romance. I don't like romance. So you write what you what you're drawn to. I mean, My dad used to take me to see the Bond films when I was a kid, and Star Wars films. I was a very young child watching the first one in 1978 when it came to the UK, which is shocking because I know I don't look older than 29.
Me
So
neither.
yeah, yeah, thank you. Yeah, the Botox has kicked in. So yeah, I do like to write for Elizabeth because I like to read them basically. And sometimes you'll read a book, or sometimes you'll see a TV show or a film, and you'll think, I don't like that. That's not how that should have happened. And so I think with me, it was what prompted me to write thrillers was perhaps reading a few and thinking, I think I would have chosen a different ending, or I don't think the character done that, or well, that character's a bit two-dimensional. And so I thought, okay, I'll see if I can write my own version and create what I want to read, basically. And so for me, the biggest joy is that if people like them, it's like, wow, you the voices in my head are talking to you as well. It's great. I'm not mad.
Do you ever find that anybody, when they read the books, do you ever find that anybody has said to you, they describe a character, how they see them in their head, and you think, that's not how I saw them at all? Has that ever happened?
It hasn't happened yet, no. I self-published a few short stories as well, and one of them had a character called Dudka, who is in my Aiden Snow books. And I self-published that. He's a guy in his, I think, 70s now, and he's like a head of the Ukrainian intelligence bureau. And when I self-published those books, well, one with him on the cover, I managed to find a really nice picture of kind of an elderly Soviet guy with a tie. I thought in my head, that's Dudka. And as soon as I put that up on Facebook saying I've got this, suddenly several readers messaged me and said, oh my God, that's exactly what Dudka looks like. And so, in a sense, I was really happy with that, But what's strange now is I think a couple of reviews of Total Blackout said, "Oh, I do like that Jack Tate. He's so dishy." And I'm thinking, okay, I haven't really described him, physically. So it's kind of nice that readers are already thinking what he would look like, But no, I mean, if there are any film producers watching, I'm open for your suggestions.
We need to start sending things to Netflix.
Yeah, that'd be good.
It's seriously, when I started reading it, and I don't look at blurbs, unless I'm buying a book. If I'm reading a book because I'm going to interview the author or somebody's recommended it, I don't look at the blurb. So when I've completely lost my train of thought because I was looking at what your drink was.
Oh, sorry. This is a nice whiskey. Yes.
Lovely. I've heard now it was the Netflix thing. If I was flicking through looking for something to watch, it would be the first thing that I'd click on. And anyone who knows me, I love Maine because of Cabot Cove. For anybody who can pick up the reference to a female crime sleuth who may live there, fictional. I get teased all the time. I love Murder, She Wrote. I love Jessica Fletcher. But Maine and Washington, I just found that the contrast of the two places in particular, for those two as an opening, I loved that because they're so vividly different. And it was quite a nice, I just love things set in Washington and in Maine. I just think it's wonderful. So obviously I've not been to other places, and I've not been to them either. I'm acting like I've been there. I haven't. But yeah, the other places that you describe as well are just fantastic. Very, very descriptive. It is that thing of you looking out as though you're the character, as you were saying before. It is that thing of looking through their eyes at what's happening around them.
Yeah.
Which must be quite difficult to achieve.
I think the more you write, the easier these type of things become. I mean, I think as a writer, you kind of decide upon your style, or rather, your style decides upon you. You kind of start writing, and then you kind of fall into a way of writing. And for me, I think perhaps is that type of style. I mean, I had to give I didn't have to. I was asked very nicely by my agent to give a masterclass last week on writing action scenes. And I gave that to some authors they have for their mentoring, and I was thinking, how do I write action? And that was a time when I had to really be kind of self-reflective on how I write those scenes. And so, yeah, it just comes naturally, really. I mean, I think sometimes I think more is less. I mean, I like to kind of put a bit of detail in, and then try to go into the dialogue or try to go into the action. I have read things whereby an author has maybe given you a whole page of describing the place, and by the time you've got to the bottom, you're kind of bored because, you know, what is this? Is a travel guide, you know? And I think I perhaps was a bit guilty of doing that when I started writing. I mean, someone did say to me, my first book, they said, this is a travel guide for Kiev, this is. And I was like, well, okay, thank you very much. Have you been? If not, use it as well. So yeah, I mean, I do like to try and make the reader kind of see things through the character's eyes, be they sober or not, both character and reader.
Well, I'll cheers you with my my non-alcoholic beverage tonight in the Winky mug.
Yeah, well, you know, I mean, you know, we all have our preferred drinks, and you know, I like a nice glass of water.
Kaz wants to know: do you speak Russian or Ukrainian? Do you speak any other languages?
Я говорю чуть-чуть по-русски и украински, но я не говорю как украинский человек, я говорю как пьяный человек. So I speak a bit of Ukrainian and Russian, but I'm not fluent. Perhaps I sound like Manuel from 40 Towers when I'm trying to speak it. But yeah, I mean, I love languages. I always have done, and all I really enjoyed French and German. I went on the French and German exchanges, you know, and my grammar wasn't very good, but I could always try to speak. And so when I went to Kiev in '96, I arrived there only knowing a couple of words of Russian. I could say yes, no, grandmother, and vodka. Da niet babushka, vodka. And so at the shop it was great because I could point at the shop assistant and say yes, and then I'd point to like a bit of sausage or a bit of cheese, and they'd say how much, and I'd say yet, and then they cut it for me, and I'd call them an old lady, a grandmother, thank you, grandmother, and walk away. So it was good. I kind of learned as I went along, and because my wife, I met her on my first day in Kiev, funnily enough. We got married 7 years later, but we met on my first day. I was there. Been together since 1996 now, and because our English is so good, that's my excuse anyway. That I'm not fluent, but I always try, and I do love speaking these languages. And I suppose that's why I do kind of try to put the odd word in my books, you know. And I do like to swear in foreign languages in the books, because I think if you're reading it and you see something, you think, oh, okay, he's swearing, but I don't like to really swear much in English in my books, you know. I think that kind of puts me off, really. I think there's always something on the back of my mind said that maybe my mum or dad are going to read them, you know, and tell me off. So I think that's probably why I don't swear much in them.
That's like one of those, I won't actually visually do it because I'd hate for one of the kids at school to get hold of it and use it. But that's like, you know, doing that thing where you say read between the lines and you hold 3 fingers up.
That's it, like, yeah, that's it, yeah.
Hiding from your parents. I'm wise to all of them now. The kids can't get away with anything. Not that they tried. I should just stop talking. Right. Would you set books in other parts of the world that you haven't set them in yet?
Yes, I would do, yes. And I can tell you that Total Fallout, which will be, as I say, out in February, I could show you a moment for that. That is set, again, partly in the States, but it's set in Texas. And it's set in Texas, and it's also set partly in Qatar. So I haven't been to Texas. Obviously, I've been to Qatar. It's partly set in Monaco. I've been to Monaco. But yeah, it's set in places in the States I haven't been to. If no one's seen it, that's the Total Fallout.
I did actually put it as the cover for our chat tonight, so hopefully it's shown up on the stream as well. But yeah.
So that's the second one, yeah. And then I have my another book I've written will be coming out in June. That's a different series. That one is set in places places I've been to. That's set in Paris and eastern Ukraine. I was in Donetsk, where there is a war at the moment. I was there before the war. I was there about 20 years ago, I think. Now, is it 20 years ago? It must be. But then the book after that, which I've kind of partly written, takes places in even more far-flung places. But I'm gonna sound like I'm a world traveller here, but it's again set in places I've been to. It's got parts of it in Sri Lanka. It's got parts of it in the Maldives. So Dubai. So it's places I've been to. What I've tried to do is I've tried to, if I go somewhere that's interesting that hasn't really been written much about, or has only been written about as a tourist destination, I think, oh, that should be in a thriller, because when James Bond, where the James Bond films, when they were set in the Caribbean, I don't think anybody else has set thrillers in the Caribbean at the time, and so I think it's always nice to write about somewhere new. But I think you do need to write about somewhere that people know as well as an anchor. I think you need to get people's attention, because if you set something, set something in New York or Paris or London, people kind of know about it, they visualize it, and so it's a form of cheating, because you don't need to write as much, because people say, oh yeah, I know that place. Oh yeah, I know Big Ben.
Kaz wants to know, would you make a graphic novel version of one of your books? Or would you hire somebody else to do it, if not you?
I personally haven't thought of a graphic novel. A friend of mine, Charlie Flowers, he writes thrillers as well, and Riz Sabir is his character, and there's a graphic novel, one of his, coming out soon. If I was approached by if an artist or a publisher had to approach my agent and said, can we do a graphic novel, I'd jump at the chance. Yeah, I mean, I think each new media you have hits a different type of reader. There are people like myself who tend to read on Kindle. There are people who tend to read books made of wood, and then you get other people who like audiobooks. And so, yeah, I mean, any media, I jump at the chance. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't do it myself. I can't draw. I mean, I can just about draw the curtains, but someone to do it for me,
I missed out a question that Kaz asked, which was, were you ever in the military? Or did you ever fancy being in the military if you weren't?
That
was a good chuckle.
Yeah.
No, you never fancied it and you've not done it?
Years and years ago, when I was 11 and 12, I was a sea cadet. And I was the youngest sea cadet in my troop. And we were at the Royal Naval Auxiliary Service. We were at their base, and my father at the Royal Naval Auxiliary Service. So he was a civilian, but he was a part-time sailor. And during the Falkland War, if it had gone on for longer, he could have been called up. And so, yeah, I joined that, and I was the youngest. But because I didn't look 11 or 12, and I'm 6'5" now, so I was quite big then, quite tall then, I was kind of treated like I was older, so I did quite enjoy it. And part of me thought about the military, in whatever way, but at the back of my mind was I always wanted to go to university. I always wanted to do something different. I wanted to be an actor for a very long time. I know you're thinking, oh, he's too shy and retiring to be an actor. I know, it's funny.
Absolutely, read my mind.
So yeah, I haven't been in the military, no, but I've got friends who have, and I get a bit embarrassed when I meet authors who were in the military. I've met Chris Ryan, who was in the SAS, and he's one of the guys that inspired me to write. And I felt a bit of a fraud when I met him, because he'd been in the SAS and was writing about it, But then I was also thinking, well, hang on, Tom Clancy wasn't in the military, wasn't a spy. Other more contemporary authors as well, like Stephen Lever, another friend of mine, really great author that I know of, who wasn't in the military. Mark Green, these people weren't in the military, but they can write about it, So to kind of give you a short answer, no, I haven't thought about being in the military.
Well, there's people who write police procedurals and every genre. There's people who've never been in love writing romance,
Yeah.
and I just think you put a different spin on it, and you clearly do research. You know, you clearly ask questions of people to make sure you get things just right.
Yeah, I mean, thank you for that. You see, if I make a mistake in a book, I'd love it if a reader contacted me directly and said, "Oh, by the way, this is wrong," because it means, in a future edition or immediately, I think on a Kindle edition, it can be changed. What I don't like is when you get somebody who notices an error that's quite a technical error, and rather than contacting you, they will then give you perhaps a review for it and take a star or two off. Oh, because this is the wrong type of helicopter, something like that. And yes, whilst I do appreciate things need to be correct, I think it's always best to go to the author first. So I do try. And when I started to write originally, I thought to myself, I'm sitting here in Ukraine. This is years ago. I'm sitting here in Ukraine because I've lived here and worked in Ukraine for a while. I can write about the place. I know the place.
Yeah.
What I can do is I can learn the extra information. So, my character Aidan Snow was a British guy working in Kiev. I knew working in Kiev. And then what I had to do was I had to think, okay, he's working in Kiev. He's teaching at a school like I was at the time. Right. But I wasn't in the SAS and he was. So how would that influence him? And then what skills would he have and what knowledge would he have? And so it meant that I could only research half of what I had to. I could just research his knowledge rather than his emotions, etc. So research is important in that way. Yeah.
Anything you've done, anything you found during your research surprised you?
I often find strange links. I'll look for something and there'll be another link. I think, oh, I can use that. Sometimes names or things are collected, etc. But I saw something the other day which I found really quite interesting, actually, and this was surprising. It was about hand grenades.
Right, you've got my attention.
This was a YouTube video I saw, and the guy got 2 hand grenades, and they said, "Okay, they're identical grenades," and he explained how the grenades worked, etc. That they exploded and threw shrapnel or whatever. He said, "Right, I'm going to throw one in the swimming pool, and I'm going to throw one on the ground. Now you decide what is safest for you. Is it safest for you when to dive into the water, so this blows up with you in the water, or is it safer for you if you throw yourself on the ground and it blows up?" And I thought, oh, well, it's got to be the water, isn't it? Because the water's going to keep the explosion smaller. It's not going to move as fast because, let's face it, you shoot a bullet into water, it slows down. But no, it was the air. It was laying on the ground for the simple reason that although when the explosion happened, the actual shrapnel doesn't go as far. What it does, it moves all the water, and your internal organs contain air and water, and when the water moves, it moves your internal organs, and so it's squashing you up. Bones and things are fine, but your soft internal organs get squished and squashed because the air and the water can't escape. If you're outside laying on the ground, the same shock wave goes over you, the air can escape. The air's got somewhere to go because you're outside. And that was I'm not really explaining it correctly, but that was really fascinating.
I think you are.
And that was really fascinating because that's what I mean. I'm not saying people throw grenades at me often. Normally it's rotten tomatoes, but I mean, if I'm standing there and someone does, in my head, I'd dive straight into the pool. I wouldn't think, "Ooh," and lay flat on the floor. So yeah, that's what I found quite strange. And if I do use that, sure to kind of make it sound a bit more normal when I write about it.
You do see it in films and obviously things in books where people drive bombs into lakes and then obviously they jump out of the car and just put that under the water. So you would automatically assume water. But as soon as you asked me the question, I thought this is a trick question. If
Yeah,
ever I
yeah,
saw one.
yeah. I mean, if you're outside the water, you know, if you've got a bomb to get rid of and you throw the bomb in the water and you remain outside the water, that's fine. But
Yeah.
um, if it's a large enough body of water, then you may be able to get further enough away. But the fact is, you know, that the shock wave moves air on land, and in the water, it's moving the water. Of course, the water's denser than the air, so
It's bizarre, isn't it? The things that you're gonna have me thinking about that for ages. I'll be googling all sorts. My browser history is going to be as bad as you lot. Um, you're making a success of series thrillers, so why are you thinking of maybe a standalone book? It's from a Facebook user. So I was going to ask you about standalones because you
mhm,
do. You obviously talking about your third series. What
mhm.
about standalones?
Yeah. Well, I have a couple of ideas, and I really like them. But the issue is, I'm not sure if I could write a second book or a third book, you know, with the same character. Um, if I had a strong enough idea to write a standalone, I think I would do. You know,
Hmm.
um, I mean, one idea I have is a guy who he's escaped an assassination attempt, but he was the guy meant to stop it, and he failed, and so he ran away. And so he's a suspect in the assassination, and he's run away, and he's hiding in Russia, and he's been hiding in a village in Russia for years and years and years, pretending that he's partly deaf, pretending that he can't speak properly. In actual fact, it's because he can't speak Russian, so he's been there gradually learning Russian for years and years. And then the idea is he has to come back to the UK to clear his name. And so I had this idea about 5 or 6 years ago, and the idea kind of bubbled up to the surface again a few days ago because I finished the edits on Total Fallout, and I've got the next set back now. But I had a time frame about a week when I was just thinking of other things, and so I was just pondering the idea of could I write that as a standalone, or would I want to bring that into my series? Um, if I had an idea that didn't fit into one of my series, then I think I would write a standalone. Um,
Hmm.
there's another book that I've kind of been trickle writing now for about 8 years. It's more crime fiction than it is thriller. It's got a Finnish detective, and he gets seconded by the Finnish intelligence service to go over to Kiev and investigate the murder of the Finnish deputy ambassador. And the deputy ambassador is an old friend of his, a guy he rescued from a kidnapping attempt 10 years before. And so that's what I've been writing on and off, you know, and you know, pure crime fiction. And the reason I was thinking that wouldn't be a series was because to write a series for that, it would involve an awful lot of research into, you know, being a policeman, etc. I mean, it might be after written the first one, I think, oh, that's great, I could write a second one. So at the moment, that could be a standalone. So yeah, I've got nothing against standalones. I'm happy to write them if I get an idea that I think works as a standalone. But I know as a reader, I always like to read a series. I always like to know what happens next. You know, I've got friends who write standalones, and I think, okay, each book is great, but I want to see the next story. You know, what this person does next, because I think you get attached to characters, don't you? You enjoy a character, and you want to see something else happen. You know,
Yeah.
it's like even that Star Wars one, Rogue One. I won't say what happens in the end, but in that one, you know, there can't be a sequel. Yeah, I'd love to see a sequel of that one. You know, so yeah, I mean, I'm not averse to trying it, but if the idea is right.
That was from Michael Parker. So I know Michael was looking forward to the chat because we both said hello to him today when Lucy Sampson kindly told him what time we were on at. So hi, Michael.
Yeah, hello, Michael. Yeah, I met Michael a couple of years ago. There was a book event just outside Worthing,
Hmm.
and my great friend of mine is also a fantastic author, a guy called Alan McDermott. He's from the Midlands, but he lives in Worthing. And he and I went over there. And yeah, we met Michael there. And also, just after meeting Michael, we met another guy there. And I'm going to be awkward now because I forgot his name. But the other guy we also met there used to write Mr. Bean, and that was quite a that was quite a strange. Yeah, it's like my friend Alan, who's quite a big selling author. He was like starstruck. He writes Mr. Bean, you know. He does. He writes Mr. Bean, and he was kind of like starstruck, thinking, "But you're Aaron McDermott." We got out of reviews and just you write Mr. Bean. Oh, and then I was also a bit starstruck. It was funny. It was good, but it's lovely when you can meet people, you know, in real life. You know, I think this year's kind of been more like a surreal life, to be honest. But
Yeah.
One of the joys of being an author is meeting other authors, whatever stage they're at. You know, I mean, I'm slightly successful. Obviously, there are millions of authors who are more successful than me, who've written more than me. Blah blah blah. You know, so I wouldn't by in any way, shape, or form put myself on a pedestal. I'm just glad that I've got a publisher who you know who can sell my books for me. I'm glad I've got where I am now. So it's always nice to speak to anyone, really. You know. And when you do meet one of the greats, it's really humbling. You know, when I met Lee Child, it was humbling. You know, when I met Ian Rankin, it was great. And there've been lots of people that I've met like that who are really, you know, really that you think, wow, because they're household names. Martina Cole, you know, and these people are kind of really, when you meet them, they're great, you know. So it was also great meeting Michael as well, you know, because Michael's someone who's written lots of books, you know, he's worked really hard on books. And to be honest, there are so many people like Michael who've written great books, but they deserve a much wider audience.
I think that of so many authors, it must have been so hard for so many people this year in particular, just to, you know, had all these events planned and all this publication launches, things like that. So how has it been for you?
Yeah, I mean, this time last year I was excited because I was invited to be part of the very first Jaipur International Festival to take place in Doha. Now, the Jaipur Festival is a huge festival, Indian literary festival, which takes place in Jaipur, funnily enough. And they have these outreach festivals. And for the very first time, they're doing an outreach festival to Doha. And so they wanted, because I was in Doha, they wanted me to be part of it as a British author living in Doha. So it's great. So I got a couple of panels, and for a week we had everybody there, and it was amazing meeting international authors and feeling part of the community again. Because when there's no one around you who does what you do, you can feel a bit like Robinson Crusoe on an island.
Yeah.
Not saying people are coconuts, you know, but I'm saying that, you know, it's nice to speak to people that do what you do and can understand what you do, etc. You know, not this year, but I used to go to so many parties. People say, "Hey, so what do you do then?" Because they're always from Texas, and I'm a writer. Oh, and they never know what to say. It's either, "Hey, I was going to write a book," you know, or they just walk away, you know, because they don't want to say to a writer. So yes, I was at the Jaipur Festival. That's great, and then I was also very happy because I was doing 2 more festivals this year. I was doing Newcastle Noir, which is run by the fantastic Jackie Collins, and I was also doing Crime Fest as well in Bristol. And so I had panels at both of those events. I think I was also going to be doing a talk at perhaps a talk in Newcastle as well. So I was going to be doing lots of things, and it was going to be a great chance for me to kind of, you know, meet fellow authors, to meet authors that I hadn't obviously met before, new authors or authors that have been parachuted in, huge stars, etc., and also to connect with readers, etc. And so, yeah, I mean, luckily I got all my money back that I paid to fly over, etc., and things, and my hotels. That was fine, but you know, I'd have really preferred to flown to the UK or flown to Wales, wherever I was going, you know, Cardiff or Bristol, or to sit to be with these panels. Yeah, now you know, I don't think there's going to be much happening really offline now, and until probably the end of next year. Crime Fest meant to be next June. It's not anymore. It's now coming back in 2022. So yeah, it's kind of it's kind of made us lonely in that sense. Book sales have been strange. One month they've been up, another month they've been down. So generally they've been for some authors the same. I think if, like me, your majority of your sales are from ebooks, then I think they've probably been okay. Authors who rely on paperbacks and hardbacks bought in high street shops, I think that their sales are down, or people that have the people whose readership is traditionally book lovers rather than ebook lovers, I think it's difficult for them. But I'm hoping, with these many what do you call them? Yeah, my brain's going now. I'm trying to think what it is. What do you call it? The medicine they put in you so you don't get ill. Vaccine, that's the word. Thank you.
Oh, the vaccine. I really couldn't think what you were trying to say then.
Don't worry. No. I think I've had either not enough water or too much. Yeah, vaccines. That's it. Coming in hopefully next year. Hopefully, we'll be sitting here or wherever this time next year, and things will have changed. So I'm confident of that. But yeah, this has been a strange year. But then, I don't think writers have been affected as much as many other people because what do? We normally sit indoors or in a coffee shop and write. We're not out and about. Unless we have other jobs. So for me, it's been fine, really.
Yeah, because you are lucky enough to write full time. So how long have you been able to do that for?
Well, I've actually been writing full time from day one. Not because financially I've been able to, but because I made a conscious decision to be a stay-at-home dad and look after my two sons. And I was very lucky that my wife had a great career, and she still does. And so it's been great. And some of the time she's worked from home as well, especially this past year. And so it's I've been able to combine being a stay-at-home dad with being an international superstar, really, and that's been quite.
Love it.
I'm obviously joking. He's sold more than
nuts.
Yes, more than 2 books sold worldwide. Sold 3. Yeah, so it's something that I enjoy doing, and I understand the majority of writers do have other jobs as well, and sometimes they write more because of it. A great friend of mine, I'm not going to embarrass him by mentioning his name, but he used to write for 2 hours every morning on his commute to London, and then write on the way home as well. And it's because he was focused, and so every day he was writing for 4 hours before and after work. And if you are a kind of a full-time writer, or how should we say this, a gainfully unemployed writer, then you are kind of more apt to kind of waste your time. You'll take the kids to school, but you think, oh, I'll watch TV for an hour, then I'll start or something. And unless you are strict, then you can lose time by doing that. So yeah, I mean, you usually find the most prolific authors either are the ones who are full time and have written lots, or the ones that have full time jobs and cram in an hour here and an hour there. But as long as you produce the books at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter when and how you write. As long as you do.
Yeah. So how do you write, and when do you write?
Obviously, things have been different this year. Things have changed this year, but in general,
yeah.
What I generally do is I take my 2 boys to school in the morning, and then I come home, and so I'm ready to write from about 9 o'clock, and then some days I'll go and collect them, or if my wife's working from home, she might go and collect them. So I'll work normally during the day when they're at school. I don't work every day, and I have other things to do as well, of course. But I can normally work most school days, really. And then unless I've got a deadline for edits or to finish something, then I'll normally not work in the evening or the weekends. Other friends of mine, just write the whole time. And to finish Total Fallout, I was writing long hours for about a month to finish it. 12-hour days, and sometimes, you know, just to get it. And it is draining. It's, you know, years ago I said it's not like coal mining, but I mean it can really mentally drain you. So I do, yeah. I try to write several hours in the morning, have a break, then a couple of hours in the afternoon, then get the boys, and then you know, try and be with them or try and do other things in the evening. Yeah.
Yeah. If you're going to procrastinate, what's going to stop you from writing? You've got the house to yourself, your lovely wife's at work, boys are at school, and you do what?
That's a very good question. It says
Staring
thinking
into
about.
space is still working, so that doesn't count.
Yeah, it is. It is. Occasionally, I will do what I call research.
Wow.
I'll watch a TV show which is in a similar genre, or I'll to what I write, or I'll watch a documentary. Um, and I even watched the Real Housewives of various cities just to just to get the ideas. You know, I think
Of the
my.
views in the background, all the landscapes all around, get to know the area through the
Yeah.
residents.
Yeah, I mean, the Real Housewives of Melbourne, I think, is my favourite. But yeah, I do. I do. I was watching Salt Lake City today. Actually, that was interesting. So yeah, I watch TV to kind of get ideas, etc. I mean, you know, if I'm doing something active, I mean, in Qatar, I was doing a lot of swimming. He says, "Holden, go to the gym, go to the gym." But I haven't done that for since the lockdown. So yeah, otherwise I'm just daydreaming really. I mean, yeah, we do think there's so many things to procrastinate, don't we? I mean, I think I spend too much time on Facebook. You know, I'm on Facebook really to kind of connect with readers, etc. But I've got a few friends, old friends on there I've met, and people who I've met years ago found me again. I do spend too much time on that, but also reading as well. Haven't been reading as much as I should have done, but I think as a writer, you need to read just to be aware of other people's craft and what they're doing. And also, you don't want to write the almost exact same book as somebody else. So, yeah.
Alison Willis, hi Alison, has asked. She said she has to be honest. She's not read any of your books, but she's enjoying the interview. What book do you suggest she starts with?
Well, I'd suggest Total Blackout.
I'd suggest Total Blackout, just in time
Thank
for
you.
Total Fallout.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm going to let you in another secret, which my agent and I, his name's Justin Nash, he's a very nice chap. We have discussed things like this. And at the moment, you have the 3 Aiden Snow books, and then you have the soon-to-be 2 Jack Tate books. And then after that, in June or July next year, there's going to be a 3rd series, a female French spy, Sophie Racine. And Aiden Snow, it's not a spoiler, he appears in the first Sophie Racine book as well. And the idea I'm trying to kind of build up is to have kind of, you know, like the Marvel Universe thing, where I've got several series, but they're all interconnecting.
Interlinking. I love that idea. I'd love to be able to do something like that. I don't know how you're going to do it. It's going to take a lot of planning.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's I'm trying to think how it's all going to happen. I don't think I have the 3 heroes, the 3 main protagonists. I don't think I'll be able to get them together before 2022. You know, because I want to try to make sure each individual character's got their own books, so they're all quite, you know, they've got their own fans when they kind of mix. So yeah, Total Blackout's a good book to start with. I mean, that's, as I say, that's £2 paperback or £2.99 ebook. And then there's obviously audio book, but also Cold Blood, the first Aiden Snow book. That's 99p on Kindle as well. So I mean, you could really, you know, it just depends what you want. I mean, I want to start with, but I'd say try Jack Tate first. You know, and if you like him, then read the other stuff. You know, so yeah, a character from an Aiden Snow, 2 characters actually from an Aiden Snow story are in Total Fallout. I'm not going to say who they are yet, but that kind of wells into mingling there. So if anybody's read the Aiden Snow and starts to read this, they'll spot them straight away. So yeah.
There are going to be so many questions and comments that we can't get to. We've got absolutely loads. The screen at the side of me is just scrolling.
I'll answer quickly. How's that? I'll do some quick answers.
Quick fire round.
Yes.
I don't think I'm capable of a quick fire round today. Let's save that for next time. Kaz has said we need a UK CBC envoy to Netflix to recommend all the novels we want filming. We could organise some quite efficient campaigns for adaptations if we put our mind to it. Further up, she also said we need a UK CBC trip to Alaska. So
That'd be good.
that would be
Ice
good.
Road.
Can you imagine? There was another one
Yeah.
that I used to watch, and I can't think what it was, but it was about people who, it wasn't the Ice Road Truckers one, it was about people who lived there. I can't think what it was.
Oh, right.
Can't think of the name of it, but that was fascinating. Watching them kind of, pack everything up over the very short summer for the winter months. And it sounds like it'd be idyllic, doesn't it? But I bet it's not.
Not in winter when it's dark and cold, no.
We are almost out of time. Will the Jack Shaw books be a trilogy, Jason Kelly asked?
Jack Tate, yeah.
I was wondering if I missed somebody else then. If there was somebody else that I didn't know about. Jack Tate, Jason. Jack Tate.
Yeah. Jack Tate. Yeah, at the moment there are 2 books, but HarperCollins are very interested in there being a 3rd one as well. And I had an idea for a 3rd book 2 days ago.
Brilliant.
Can you see me or not?
I can see you and I can hear you well, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. So I think there'll be a 3rd book. Yes.
Good. Right, very quickly before we finish, I'm really sorry and thank you to all of the members who've asked questions. There's so many. Could you give us a quick recap of your book cover so everybody knows what to look for? And of all the special offers that are currently on, because there's quite a few.
There are quite a few. I don't know why.
In your best, what's that shopping channel? In your best QVC voice?
QVC, yes. Or GMTV for the jewellery. So Total Blackout is currently £2 in paperback from Amazon UK and also from the Works. Otherwise, it is £2.99 on Kindle, and I believe £11 or £12 as an audiobook. Cold East, the ebook I believe is £1.99 or £1.49. Cold Black and Cold Blood. These are both 99p currently on Kindle in the UK. And they're all lovely colours as well, aren't they?
They are really lovely, yeah. Thank you so much. That hour has absolutely flown. Thank you so much for joining me.
Well, thank you for having me on the UK Crime Book Club. I'm very happy to been able to talk nonsense about books for an hour and have people listen to me for a change rather than talking to myself.
Well, we'll see you next time for another one. And it'll be Kaz next time. Kaz gets you. I'm very jealous that Kaz gets you next time. we are interchangeable hosts. Sorry, say again.
No, I was going to say, if she interviews me next time, you can be asking the questions, can't you? You can be firing questions.
I will be, yeah. I'll still be sat watching.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you too. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.